up, everybody? I'm J.S. Garrett, and I'm here with my good friend, Aserial Krabat, and we are just going to shoot the shit a little bit, get into some good conversations, some good topics, and share it with the rest of you. So how's it going, bro?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me on. Yeah, we're just going to jumpstart that organically, I guess, and just, get into the whole vibe of this conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you and I have talked quite a bit about different things, off air, and we always get into some really good conversations. So I've been wanting to have you on for a while, and I'm pretty fascinated with a lot of the work that you do, and I definitely want to ask some questions about those experiments. I know you're like a mad scientist like Sam, and we're always trying to come up with the next cutting edge techniques and make new discoveries instead of just working off of what's already there and never pushing it any further. I know you, like myself, you're always trying to push it to the next level and see exactly what can be accomplished. So that's something I really like and respect about you, and definitely wanted to get into that a little bit.
Oh, thank you, brother. I respect your work as well. I mean, you've been doing a lot of great stuff for Become Living God, and you've been adding a lot of value to it as well. But I think that, we're in the modern times, especially coming down to the information age, where there's just so much shit out there. And a lot of people get confused. And I think, especially when it comes down to the occult arts, there's just a lot, but nothing has been really pushed to its limit or has been pushed to a point where we can evolve that whole thing. And that's the good part about the spirit of Become Living God, because we're trying to push the envelope here. We're trying to create new things, new technologies, and not only that, like we're coming together as a fucking team, and that hasn't happened before on the left-hand path, because we all know it's about the individualism and the deification of the self, and a lot of people are solo artists. They're just doing their stuff, and they're not really interested in coming together, and that's where the pagans and the right-hand path tradition is kind of more like how you say they're more advanced in that way because they already have that community. And I think this is only just the starting point of our community truly forming. And it's not only about the left-hand path, it's not about the right-hand path, it's just about us all from this field coming together. Especially in times like these, it's like we need to band together in order to create some massive change, because time is up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And yeah, I mean, you touched on something right there. I mean, the Black Magicians have always been kind of the black sheep, they're always the loners. And whenever you do see them like congregate online, it usually ends up becoming a war. I see that constantly, like, different magicians warring against each other over the dumbest shit. And that's really what we're trying to change in a lot of ways about this, people call it the occult community. I really like to see it become a type of community. I mean, the last thing we want to do is start an order or a religion or anything like that. But what you and I both want to see, and what I know the others that Become a Living God want to see, is more people working together. We don't have to like each other personally. We don't have to agree on the best way to cast a circle or do a ritual or whatever. I mean, we just have to work towards the same goals and bring our own unique skill sets to those specific goals. And right now is the best time for people to do that, especially if they've got like a lot of time on their hands, if they're locked down over this virus. And there's so much chaotic energy floating around in the atmosphere from all these terrified people that are panicking over something that's somewhat kind of silly if you want to look at the level of panic versus the level of threat. But that's great though, because a magician can take that energy and harness it and steer it in the direction that they want it to go. And so that's really what I think a lot of us are doing right now. And that's what this upcoming ritual being performed by my wife Barbie and I and J.D. Temple and Orly Stewart, we're about to roll that out tomorrow, I think, the advertisements for that. That's really what this is going to be geared for, as well as protecting our own and trying to ensure that the changes that are coming can be as favorable for us as possible. So, that's great.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly. I mean, The occult is a very big subject. It goes very deep. We all know that. And I'm personally not a master of all of that because there's just so much to learn that could take lifetimes. But I think essentially the goal is to not stay in the shadows. That time is over. I mean, we're out here exposing ourselves and all that we've got for years of practice and give it to people, give them a purpose, lead them to the right direction, because there's still many lost souls on this planet that don't know what's going on, what they are, and what reality is. And we, as the outcasts, as the Black Magicians, having no boundaries in where we can ascend towards or descend, important for us to hammer that into the collective mind of humanity by helping them in every way, in every aspect possible to achieve their greatest purpose, to achieve their greatest vision of what they could be. Because we're starting that with ourselves. That's what we're doing with Black Magic, by engaging with these rituals, by contacting these ancient forces. It always starts here, from the heart, from within. And as soon as we're ready, as soon as we're stepping up, as soon as we increase our vibration, we're able to help the world, because the world starts from within. And that way we can essentially crush the occult dogma and kill the occult as it was, because the occult is not necessary anymore. Everything that has been hidden comes to the light, and we are the light bringers coming from the darkness, as our Father.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's well said. I agree with you there. And yeah, the time for remaining in the shadows is over. I mean, it was necessary in the past because people would try to burn you at the stake. But I mean, that's why you never see me wearing a hood or a hooded robe when I'm doing magic, because that to me, that symbolizes a time when we had to hide our identities. And even 20 years ago, if I was going to sneak out in the woods with a bunch of sorcerers and do it right, you damn right I'd wear a mask, But not now. Now we're putting our rituals on YouTube and out for the world to see. And it's as extreme as most people dare to get, a lot of it. And we're doing that shit proudly in your faces. And so, and it's also encouraging more and more people to do that. So we're bringing in a new breed of sorcerer with these actions and the content that we're putting out. Not just Become a Living God, but several other platforms are putting out great information, and more of them are starting to work together. And that's if I was one of the oppressors of society, I'd be worried about that. So because it's great things that are going to come from it. And I was watching a documentary, I think yesterday or the day before, where it was like an old tablet or something that they decoded, and it was talking about the sons of Belial sacking Atlantis, which is extremely interesting if you think that Atlantis existed and that it was like a world empire that probably enslaved most of the world as they conquered it, and to think that a group of rebels that called themselves the Sons of Belial actually had a part in laying waste to that slave empire is fucking awesome. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea, but that really lifted my spirits to hear that.
I mean, that's perfect what you just said. I mean, that's a perfect introduction of going back in time and seeing where all of the mythology started, and then coming right here, right now, realizing that we have been led. Every decision, every choice, everything that we made brought us to this point of now having this conversation. This conversation is going to be watched by the entire world. The possibilities out there for anyone to watch this. And the information that we're spreading through this video will attract the ones that were meant for this. And then it really does come down to, what do we know already? The signs have been very clear throughout the ages that what is happening right now has been foretold. And it's not only us, the mediums, the magicians, the sorcerers, Wiccans, doesn't matter what paradigm you use. We know deep inside that we need to make a change, that we need to come together. And even the people that are not into the occult, they're not into esoteric studies, not into conspiracy theories, are now starting to almost wake up to a sense that there's something very off about the world. And that's why we have to now step in and guide them towards the right direction, because sadly still there's a lot of misleading going on out there in our community, in other communities, where it's filled with scammers, where people don't really care about humanity, they care about the money, they care about themselves. And this is where Come Living God and this platform and other platforms are making a difference, because it's not about us, portraying ourselves. Sure, it's a part of that. But it's about the collective empowering humanity. Just by uploading videos with this information, it's going to be there for a very long time, and it can be accessed throughout the years. So yeah, it comes to us to now lead the way and lead these people coming into these things of realization of what is happening, what they truly are, and guide them towards their own awakening, essentially.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, absolutely. And it's also important filming a ritual takes balls. I'm just going to say that. Most people will not do something like that, because I'm not comfortable being on camera. It's taken me a couple of years just to get comfortable sitting down and doing these podcasts and putting them out. But it's necessary, I think, to put out filmed rites, because it teaches others how to do it. And, if I had never seen like E.A. Coetting, putting filmed rituals out on YouTube, then I probably never would have filmed one myself. So, I mean, that's something that we're seeing a lot more of too, people sharing their work publicly. And that can only lead to the creation and inspiration of more magicians. And it doesn't matter what path you walk. I mean, there is no wrong path if that path is right for you. As long as you're not, starting a religion and spreading dogma and fear, then you're on my team as far as I'm concerned. And, a rising tide lifts the entire ship. So I definitely want to work with as many people as possible in the near future.
Yeah, exactly. Well said, brother. Well said. We're just starting into the occult, getting to know all of this starts with studying it. A lot of people, they get overwhelmed with what is out there right now, and that's why we have multiple currents of magic. But first of all, it takes huge balls to even start this, to start it for yourself, to start this journey of magic. Because there are people, even that I know personally, that I have teach some bits about magic that they can use in their life, in their daily life. And they don't have to be a practicing magician. You just give them the tools. But there's a clear difference between people walking this path and people that are just kind of dabbling in it. Because this is a lifestyle. This is not just something you can kind of turn away from. The more deeper you go, the less you kind of want to go back. Because it opens up roads and awareness about you, me, about the world that cannot be deleted. It's reprogramming ourselves with ancient codes, with deifying yourself, with doing these rituals, and then taking the next step of going out there, putting yourself right in front of the eyes of the entire world and doing rituals like you're doing. Respectful. I've been doing some things like that, but I have never done or shared a ritual like your deification rituals or the rituals that you do. And it takes a lot of balls to do that. And that's why all of you, we are the leading example for that, because it doesn't matter what the fuck people think about you. It should never matter. You just do you go out there and you give it the best that you have.
Oh yeah, man, thank you. And yeah, I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot more of your work in the near future too. Let's talk about that a little bit. You know, as far as your, I saw a video you did with EA a while back, a podcast that was really good, by the way. And you're talking about experimenting with like turning lights on and off and stuff like that. Is that something that you're still working on, or have you moved on to other experiments?
Yeah, that's a reoccurring theme. That's something that I was able to do that even shocked me. Um, so here's the deal. When we're able to do things like that, I still am in the process of figuring out how to replicate it. Because many years ago, I've talked about this on multiple podcasts. I was in Canada, and I was doing a walking meditation with Lucifer, and I was semi-possessed while going through another spiritual awakening of realizing what my faults are, what I have to change, what is really going on, who I am, and that amount of energy focused itself in synergy where in that moment, Aserial did not exist. Nico did not exist. I was just there, and the light spoke to me. I was watching the street light as it was flickering, and I was like, that's the best time to actually try what I could be able to do. So I just stood there without even thinking about it, putting out my hand and just feeling the energy of the light bulb, of the electricity. And you can kind of imagine it like in the Matrix, where cold, but I could see the energy lines and the grid coming from the streets into the lamp, and I could feel the vibration of the light bulb and the warmth of it. So I just hold out my hand, bend it with my astral body around the light bulb, and instead of forcing it to turn off, I became the light. I felt it inside me, the heat, the energy, and then I just, instead of trying to diminish it, I expanded it. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but it made sense in that time. I just kind of opened it up. And by opening up that energy where there was once the focus point of electricity creating the light, I not imploded it, but I exploded it, and hard to explain, put it back together again, and then it went off. And that's the hard part, coming down right there. How do I fucking do this again? Because I have been able to semi-do it again, but to be honest, I have not hard for it, because it was one experience that was shown to me that I'm capable of great things. That was just one. But I have not been able to replicate it so far because of other things, because of occupations and other paths that I was walking on. Coming to the multiple currents that you have in magic. A lot of times I got overwhelmed in the past, so I was trying to get as much information and test things out. I realized that, now is the time to fucking do stuff, because if I'm not the one doing it, if I'm not the one trying it out, no one will. So if it's on me, I gotta do that shit. So I was as soon as I got a technique down so that we can all be, these super amazing people just walking around the street and turning lights off and on. That'd be fucking great.
Yeah, that's cool. There's been times where I've been able to do strange things in like the heat of the moment, in the heat of the emotion, and then try to replicate it later and couldn't do it. Or I've noticed sometimes with experimenting with other works like magical command words and stuff that I'll find in books. I'll take that stuff out and I'll memorize it and experiment with it. And it seems like sometimes it works better than others. I'm not sure why that is. I mean, I realize that supposedly all magic comes from within, so it probably depends on the state of the sorcerer. But when you're dealing with like a technology, a sound frequency technology or sigil technology, stuff like that, you tend to get the same result